Yeah.
Okay, so take a seat.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Now remember when I said that as you progress on the spiritual path, things change. And so I have in my hand two very powerful magnets. We use them for healing. It's kind of hard to get them apart. And the duality, when you're talking about healing, the duality idea is there are different rules. The physical world is not the same as the metaphysical world, the invisible world. Rules change. And how you use the rules as you get higher, like Obi-Wan Kenobi and who is the little guy with the ears?
Yoda.
Yeah, things change. And, you can bend rules and you can change rules, and rules shift as you progress on the spiritual path. But a lot of people in metaphysics that are not even metaphysicalers, don't even get me started.
That aren't real.
Metaphysicalers.
Oh.
Bless us all. Okay. How many of you heard similar energy attracts? Okay. Similar energy attracts. Okay, so magnetism, birds of a feather flock together. So thoughts and ideas, similar energy attracts. So people that are in metaphysics hang out with metaphysical people. People that are, I don't know.
Scientists.
What? Scientists hang out with scientists, and
Mathematicians.
yeah, mathematicians. People that are depressed hang out with depressions. People that are hang out with drinkers, et cetera, et cetera. But so emotions and thought forms are invisible and similar energy attracts in the metaphysical field, but in the physical world, it's not true, because North Pole and North Pole I don't care how, you can't do it. I don't care how strong you are, you're not going to be able to put North Pole and North Pole together. Now, North Pole and South Pole, absolutely. Okay, so opposites in the physical reality attract. And so in metaphysics, they talk about cause and effect. And when you're getting into healing, the challenge is to understand that life is duality, and you don't always learn. Well, I shouldn't say you don't always learn the truth. You learn the truth for where you are at that point in time. And sometimes that truth is a little distorted. Not even all that great. But, oh well, that's part of the path, right? Okay, so, but when you start thinking, oh, you got a headache, maybe it was from some emotional thing that happened, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it was just a hot day and you ate ice cream and it caused a brain rush because of the physical chemistry, and you have a headache because you ate the cold ice cream on a hot day. And that's as simple as it gets. Now, you could get really deep and go, why did you end up having the ice cream at that time? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, live a life. Come on. Okay, so. All right. So, but when we grow and we start getting evolved, and you start to put all the pieces together, that everything is made up of molecules and it's not solid. There is no such thing as solid. When you do a PK party, I am totally against teaching phenomena, and funny that I end up teaching phenomena. But I teach phenomena I used the JacQuaeline method of system to honor him. He was just brilliant. But if you can do this with your mind, then what else is possible? Can you heal bones? I know people that have, that crushed bones, and 5 minutes later, there's no more crushed bones. Some people it takes 2 weeks or a week of work, but hey, that's pretty good. Okay, Huna magic, Huna mysticism healing. I shouldn't call it magic, but these things are off the chart, but they're reality, and they're the life, the world that I live in. Because I live in the world of possibilities, and I just attract and magnetize amazing people, and their talents are just astounding. So crystals and minerals, I take people through merging with crystals and minerals, because these, again, they're living. There's consciousness in everything. And this is something that you can hold, and you can begin to relax and merge into the consciousness of communicating with the object. And this has a tremendous amount of wisdom, and it's connected to the planet itself. There's a oneness, or a Rupert Sheldrake morphogenetic field and M field. And so we take the raw crystal, and it's beautiful, and some of them have rainbows, and it reflects things, and it grew this way. And we can take the 6-sided crystal and buffer it, and it reflects a little bit more. So when you have a diamond, for example, in the rough, it can be beautiful. But when man facets it and cuts patterns, it allows more light in so that its brilliance can shine. And to me, that's what metaphysics is about, creating our own, chopping away the things that are no longer necessary, so that more light could come in, so that we can project out a spectrum of beauty and really allow that wherever we go, you don't have to do anything, you just have to be. And so part of your intuitive development through the 10-week course that I teach is just that, starting to recognize your oneness through the mineral kingdom, then through the flower kingdom or the organic kingdom, because the mineral is physical. And then we have the organic kingdom, which is physical plus emotions, or the ability to respond to stimulus. And so we then start to take you into the organic kingdom, and you start to communicate with that. And we have minerals in our body, and we also have, we're growing things. So we have emotions and the ability to respond to stimulus, light, sound, words, thoughts, color, temperature, all of our 5 senses, taste. And so we're able to start to reactivate and re-clear each of those parts of our senses. Then we start to work with animals. How many of you have a pet or know a pet that's really cute or friendly or has a personality? Okay, and so to be able to communicate with an animal is pretty cool. Very easy to do. And if you ever hear, there used to be radio shows with the pet psychic. I used to practice along, and I go, oh, that would be a good thing to do. I don't have any pets. So I would tune into the radio show, and I would tune into the pet. And there's one person was saying, I don't know why my dog is so depressed every day, every afternoon. And I'm thinking, he wants to go to the beach. Where's that coming from? And I kept getting, he wants to go to the beach. And a few minutes later, in the banter back and forth, the guy finally said, well, where do you go every afternoon? He goes, well, I go to the beach. And he says, well, you don't take your dog with you? He says, no. Yes. He wants to go with you to the beach. So anyway, learning to communicate. And you have to get, as a little child, you have to be willing to be rude, to be crude, to just blurt things out until you train yourself. And because, you know, like 3, 4, 5-year-olds, they just say, that person over there smells.
Yes.
It's the neighbor, please. You know, they just tell the truth. They don't filter. We have to find a balance between the adult and the inner child. So we have these, and then my healing teacher started playing with time and space and things and sound and color, and he started getting, again, downloads with angles, like 51-degree angles and the pyramid angles and things like that. And then he had one cut seven-sided. He created 7-sided for the 7 days of the week. And he did one for 24 for hours. And he did one for, anyway, we have different numbers, sides, and use them for different kinds of healing. And there was one, he called me one day and he was so excited and he goes, oh, I got something. I said, what? And he says, well, I did some kinesiology and I found that the person's problem started in 1942 and this major problem he's had all of his life. And so I isolated and identified which meridian, which acupuncture point. So I took a piece of metal that was from that year and I put it on that acupuncture point, and then I did the tuning forks that were specific, the right frequency to do the correction over that particular acupuncture point, and guess what? The problem completely reversed itself and he's completely healed.
Forever and ever?
Well, the problem's gone. And I go, you're such a genius, but where did you get the metal? And he goes, so easy. Copper is the best transmission of electricity. He says, go and get a penny collection. It's stamped with the year, which seals in the frequency of that year. And I go, oh my God, you're so brilliant. And so it's kind of like regression therapy, but actually physically putting the person in that vibratory state at the physical level. So it's not just woo-woo, think about it. It's like, let's put you in that physical frequency state. So there's all different kinds of things that go on and that you can do. So these were tuning forks that he created. They're the frequency of the 14 meridians. Bye.
Thank you.
And may I use yours as a sample?
Sure.
Okay, so if you sit forward for just a moment. Yeah. Okay, ready for something unusual?
Sure.
No hearing problems? Okay, great. Okay, I'll do you afterwards. Would you like to experience this?
Okay.
Okay. She's got a smile on her face. Would you? You? Okay. I'm not tethered. Okay, so anyway, I'll do this to everybody afterwards if you'd like. Yeah, it's different. So it's kind of like a spaceship.
Mine took his.
Okay.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, okay. So they're very different, and they're a frequency, and they're pretty powerful. And what's interesting is when I do this, when I go into the healing mode with people, I'll talk about, I'll ask somebody, I'll have maybe 50 or 100 people in the audience, and I'll say, does anybody have a physical pain that is not more than 24 hours old? Anybody? Okay, so, and usually there's somebody who had a headache or shoulder problem, or they hit their leg or something. And so I'll ask them to come up and I'll say, okay, think about your pain and pick 2 colors. And they'll go, okay, this one and that one. And I'll say, okay, great. Pick a number between 1 and 21, 15, okay? So then, can I use you for a second? So
I have a sore muscle right there.
oh, you do? Okay, great. Here, so let's do it. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being worse, what number is the soreness?
I'd say 6.
6, perfect. Okay, so look at these colors and pick the first two that jump out at you. Perfect. Okay. So pick a number.
Right here.
Pick a number between 1 and 21.
10.
10. Okay. So what we would do, and where is it?
It's this muscle right
That
in
muscle.
here.
Okay. So if you would turn that way. And so what I would usually do is have a volunteer, and you hold them below the little notch, and you go like that, and you point at where the problem was. And you do that, if she said 10, then you do it 10 times. And usually I would have a volunteer doing it just to demonstrate that it's not me as a channel. And then volunteer so I could just keep teaching the class without you doing it. So it's not very hard to do, as you can see. And usually if it's under 24 hours, it can get rid of the pain pretty fast. I lost count. I think that was 9.
Okay.
Okay, go sit down. So we'll see what happens by the time that we're done. And usually, at the end, when you're done, put the forks back and go sit down. And at the end, I'll say, oh, by the way, who had a pain worked on? And people stand up, what was it? Oh, it was an 8. Now what is it now? Oh, it's a 2. Oh, it's a 6. No, it's gone. It's just like, how many people think that they could do that? Right. How many not? Get out. No. So there are...
What about with chronic illness?
With chronic illness, is a little bit more study.
More
a little
illness
bit.
than the pain.
There's a lot of things that can be done, and a doctor sent me a client. He had a migraine for 18 days. That's not chronic, but it was pretty severe. And she said, I can't. I've done everything I can. You try it. And so, as I was working on him, I said, I don't know. I'll do my best to do what I can, and because this is, see this series of books? This is half of my reference stuff. Everything is color-coded, and it just is kind of point and click, and it shows you exactly what to do and how to do it. Gets kind of technical, but if you have the book, you just have to know how to read a map. And so anyway, I said, with my intuition and working with him, I said, I hope this will work, but you need 2 to 3 months of work. And his headache went away within 24 hours. And he did come back, and it just took 2.5 months, but he had, he was in diabetic for, type 1 diabetic for, since he was a teenager. I think he said 13. I think he was in his late 40s. And after the first month of working with him, the first couple weeks, twice a week, and then back to once a week, he lost about 30 pounds the first month. He cut his insulin in half. He kept saying, I came back from the doctor and you don't understand. And I said, well, isn't that a good thing? He goes, yeah, but you don't understand. I said, do I need to understand? Is that a good thing? And he goes, I'm diabetic type 1. I'm not supposed to be able to cut my insulin in half. And I go, don't tell me that. I didn't know that. Don't tell me that. I didn't know you couldn't do it. It's like, okay, isn't that a good thing? And he goes, yeah, it's a good thing. I said, so great. So when you get the body into balance, energetically flowing thought forms, emotions, these things are they're in another dimension, but they can be physical. When I went to Japan they asked me to work in Japan and do some classes with this system. And the first man that came in, the translator just arrived, and the first man that came in opened the door and I look across the room and I saw all this gray ropey stuff. My etheric vision turned on. I was like, wow, that never happened before. I studied it, but because I never had to see it before. And he walked in, I'm thinking, I wonder what that is. Like, sits down, how can I help you? Right, Japanese. And he says, ever since I was a little boy, I've had abdominal pain. And I'm thinking, no kidding. And he says, and I've gone to all kinds of specialists. I've had surgeries, everything. Nothing has helped. I'm always having this pain. And as it was being described, I saw his most recent past life. And he jumped on a bomb to protect his family, and he blew out his guts and died.
Ew.
And I'm thinking, well, of course, his etheric body, his etheric web is all messed up and very easy. Forgive yourself, forgive everybody else involved. I'll rewire the etheric body. What else is the problem? Well, I'm having anxiety, blah, blah, blah. So I explained what it was. I said, we'll redo this. I'll take you through a guided thing, and I'll just rewire this through the system. He jumps off the table. His pain is gone. He came to the next 2 weekends of trainings, brought his friends, and I was like, good way to start. So when you can really open your mind up to intuition and really start to refine your capacity, there's nothing that, you could talk to the consciousness inside the tree. You can connect with the whole forest. There's so many things that you can know, but the most important thing is the quality of your life here and now, so that you can keep homeostasis, so that you can keep yourself in a balanced place, coming from love, coming from I'm okay, I am one with the source. And really to then, instead of trying to work so hard at being or doing something, part of the key is, if you were making a stew and cooking and you took garlic and chopped it up, if you were garlic and you jumped into the stew, you just show up and you release a fragrance and you impact everything in that stew. You don't have to do anything other than be what you are and show up. And when you start to realize each and every one of you has an essence, your soul mission, your soul journey, and you don't really have to be or do, do a lot, other than the most important thing is be who you are and show up. So releasing the limitations and negativity, my teacher used to say, there's only 2 things you need to do to attain total enlightenment. Are you willing to give up those 2 things? I see a show of hands. If it's not sex and if it's not drugs or alcohol, now are you willing to give up those 2 things? More hands go up. Okay. The 2 things you need, and if you're not willing to let go, then either walk out of the room or cover your ears for a minute. Okay, limitations and negative thinking. Giving up limitations, thinking that you're limited, and negativity, and get rid of those 2 things and you have enlightenment. So I have some questionnaires for you to pass out, and if I have, do we have time for questions and answers? A few minutes?
What time is it?
It's 3:20.
It's up to everybody.
We have about 2 minutes left of digital tape.
Okay. Any? This is just a questionnaire. If anybody has, I do. Am I on rolling? Okay. Can I give my website? Yeah. Okay. Intuitionpower.com and also aglobalexperiment.com. I lead a global meditation every new moon and full moon via phone or Skype, so people from all over the world can call in and do 15 minutes. And also, one other thing, I have products that I've developed, the Art of Meditation, a 15-day challenge, because I learned over teaching universal law, science, and philosophy that you don't really need to meditate an hour a day like I first was taught. 15 minutes will do it, and the key is to get into a silent, quiet place. So this Art of Meditation is downloadable, and also I use the same system in the global meditation So go there and check it out. And if you're interested in ESP or the expansion course, my intuition, then contact me through my website, intuitionpower.com. And I hope to find a place locally where I can teach the 10-week course of expansion. It will transform you no matter how far along you are, because we take you through little exercises. Most, like 50% of the class is exercise. Everything from exploring spirit guides to, if you don't have spirit guides, which I don't work with spirit guides, that's a whole other conversation. But I have very strong guidance. And when I was taught with trance mediums that had spirit guides that I could see. And then when I was trying to get in touch with my spirit guides, I had years of crying. Why can't I get in touch with my spirit guides? Well, I don't work that way. I don't work with them. So some of you don't either, and there are alternative ways of understanding how you are guided and what that guidance is. So intuitionpower.com, and I'm JacQueline, and thank you all.